Hey everybody, this is Bruce from Printavo, Simple Shop Management Software. Today we have a very special guest with us. It's Ryan from Ryonet Corporation, or now screenprinting.com, along with all the other things that they're doing. Ryonet is now working on and has moved into their 50,000 square foot facility with 7 other warehouses around the country. And they started back in 2004 and have a really great story that he's told me before, but just really wanted to share that, as well as a lot of lessons learned that he's brought on along the way. And then we'll also cover kind of where he thinks the industry is going. So just wanted to say thank you, Ryan, for joining us. I know you're a super busy guy.
Hey guys, you are welcome. Excited.
Nice. So if you could start, tell us kind of where Ryonet is today, and then we'll get back and start at the beginning.
So today I think we're one of the larger, at least the top 3 screen printing suppliers. We're a very interesting company, probably one of the only companies that do it the way we do it. You know, there's the M&Rs that make equipment, there's the NASDARs and GSGs in Midwest that, supply. There's the ink companies that, whether it's, Virus or Magna or Matsui that make ink, we kind of do all of that. So we take every single thing that goes into making a print, including how to do it, a lot of great YouTube videos and training classes throughout the country. But I think we're pretty unique in the fact that we've extremely vertically integrated our company, from actually making the product to training on the product to distributing the product all over the country, mainly focused in North America.
Awesome. Very cool. And then, of course, you guys have like the educational side, and you push on that heavy too.
Yeah, one of our mottos, one of our principles actually, is we educate first, sell second. If you don't know how to use something, you're not going to get it again. You're getting pretty pissed off if you got the wrong one. So we always try to educate as much as we can.
And has that been a core piece of the business since you guys started, or what was the turning point there where you're like, okay, we should really start getting into the learning side too?
Well, we started actually from our own screen printing experiences, so in completely DIY. I mean, you guys screen printers out there, I didn't know what off contact was probably for 6 years in screen printing. So it was just a completely kind of gun at your, like I started with water-based inks, they were great, then I went to a screen printing supplier and like, I need ink, and they're like, here's this Union Plastisol. I'm like, this stuff is so thick, how do you get it through a screen? Just smashing it onto t-shirts. And so we always asked our supplier questions, and they had no clue. I mean, one time they told me a conveyor dryer was an automatic press, and I looked at the conveyor dryer, I was like, how the heck, where the screens go? Oh, they must fit inside that box there. And so through our own experience of like screen printing, like learning how to screen print sucks by yourself, like trial and error, it's like virtually impossible to figure it out. And so when we started selling supplies to other bands, I would spend hours on the phone. In fact, hours on the phone, and then I started making copies of how to print shirts for fun and profit, probably one of those things I'm not super proud of because it's illegal to do that. So they sent me a cease and desist, and I stopped making copies, and I was like, we got to come up with our own educational information. So we made an instructional DVD series. It took me a week to film.
Really? Probably, like a VHS tape or what?
Oh, well, it was DVD. It was DVD. It was 14 hours long, just ramblings of like how to start screen printing, but it was very comprehensive. Showed how to do it from start to finish. And in 2006, we published that in 2005. We also started teaching classes in 2005 because we were like, we have to do as much as we can to help people learn how to screen print, because there's physically not possible for us to grow as a company if we have to teach everyone over the phone how to screen print. So we started teaching classes in 2005, and we started our educational video series in 2005. And in 2006, one of our customers randomly put it on this YouTube channel that was starting up before Google even bought them.
Yeah.
And I started to see all this traffic come back to our website. I was like, YouTube?
Yeah,
that's pretty
what's this?
It's like sending us orders. Like, what is this YouTube? And I had invested, my friends were all in the movie industry, and so I invested and completely lost all my money in, not all my money, but a lot of money in this movie that they made. And so after they made this movie and it bombed, the guy who made the movie was like, I don't want to go back to work at Big Five, or no, it was like Best Buy. Can I make videos for you and put them on YouTube? And I was like, sounds like a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
So that's how we started our YouTube channel, and now YouTube's our number one source of visibility worldwide. It's awesome. It's allowed us to grow, create customer connections virtually, help millions of people learn how to screen print, literally, and really helped our business be successful, helped a lot of screen printers be successful because the information is so readily available. Now we teach classes as well all over the country. But
right. Would you say that YouTube was your number one driver of customers early on, or?
Number one driver, because we started before YouTube was around. So number one driver for customers early on was SEO and pay-per-click. Pay-per-click was the number one driver. I mean, I learned how to pay-per-click market, and our business went from doing like $50,000 a month in revenue to do like $400,000 a month in revenue in under 12 months. So we went from no revenue to $8 million in revenue in under 18 months from start to finish.
That's crazy.
It was extremely no, never mind. 0 to 4 in under 18 months, and then 0 to 8 in under 30 months. So it was extremely fast growth. 100% of that was driven by web, and that was driven by pay-per-click. And then pay-per-click became a lot more, and it's pretty hard right now. I mean, you pretty much have to have it. If you try to do pay-per-click yourself, you're probably going to lose a lot of money. So we have companies that manage it. I mean, it was so easy back then to figure it out, to put in your own algorithms, and now it's a lot harder. You have to be really smart at it. So I think the trick now is it's a combination platform of some of it's pay-per-click marketing, some of it's SEO, some of it's localized SEO on Yelp and Google Places, and then social media, obviously. And one of those social media platforms is YouTube. So we have wide net of strategy for marketing now that's really helped our business kind of get to where we're at now. Whereas it started out, first was pay-per-click, then it was YouTube, and then it was Facebook, but now it's just kind of like all across the board. Sure.
Yeah, pay-per-click has definitely gotten way more expensive and competitive over time, which has also driven up the cost.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have a book that's coming out this next month, I believe, called Made to Make It. And it kind of talks about the business side of screen printing. I actually use you guys as an example for the software, kind of running your business smarter, the software selection process. And it's Mark Katz was the founder of Custom Ink. Mm-hmm. So he was one of the people I interviewed for the book. And extremely interesting, their marketing philosophy. I think I interviewed him in 2014, but number one driver for their growth in 2014 was completely going old school and video marketing on TV commercials. Was their number one driver of growth, and they're like one of the biggest players in the industry. So you have to experiment and find out what works for you, and you can't compete, I think, with what other people are doing.
Sure.
So
yeah, that's a good point. And so, kind of bringing it back, I mean, 0 to $8 million of revenue in 30 months is pretty fast. Talk about when you first got started, how you were even getting into. I don't think many people know about the whole band background, but talk about getting into that and printing for yourself, and how it transitioned to Ryonet too.
So we played music. We wanted T-shirts. Every band wants T-shirts, and we made our own shirts. And I learned how to do it in high school. I learned on a Riley Hopkins press. PVC flash dryer, water-based inks. My teacher let me come back and print T-shirts over the course of the summer after I graduated, but then he made me go do it on my own, and so I built a press out of wood and completely DIY. Other bands started seeing our shirts, and they're like, "That's pretty sweet. You can make. How much does it cost you to make that shirt?" I was like, "I don't know, $2. Nothing. And we sell it for 10 or 15 or 5. Mm-hmm. And they like, "Well, can you show me how to do it?" So, needing money to support the ever-sucking money music industry, I started selling kits online on eBay, on basically a startup kit made with the wood press, and went down to the local screen supplier to get stuff, and that's what started silkscreening.supplies.com, which is now screenprinting.com, which is what started Ryonet. And I honestly, I didn't I was extremely excited about growing a business and being successful, because our band was, very moderately successful, but not the success that I saw, for the band. And so Ryonet was pretty successful out of the gate, and I was extremely excited about that. I freaking hated the screen printing industry. I mean, I didn't hate it. I just didn't love it.
Why is that?
Because in 04, 05, the industry was like just devastated by like outsourcing to China. So everyone that was still in the industry after the 90s outsource movement was like pretty old, and they had worn the storm, but they were also pretty pissed off. And then a lot of but what happened is that it opened up like this field for all these people to start. There was still a need for a product in the US. And so in the mid 2000s, people wanted to start screen printing businesses or grow a small screen printing business. And we became just super lucky because we were the ones that figured out how to market that on internet and on YouTube. And so we just hit like the right time in the market to offer a solution that the market itself created by outsourcing to China and Mexico and Central America. And now I fell in love with the industry about 5 years into the game, like kind of looking at our customers and, coming out of, one of the things I didn't like about screen printing is coming out of rock and roll and punk rock is like you could hang out with like the coolest people ever and, party and chicks, and like it was fun. And screen printing was not the first screen printing trade show. I was like, what am I doing here? It's not a punk rock concert.
Right.
But like 5 years into it, I realized that like all these people that we were helped starting, they're like punk rock screen printers. Like, and actually a lot of them were punk rock screen printers. Like some of my idol growing up was MXPX, and Mike Herrera is a freaking customer of ours that I met, and he's played 3 concerts for us now at Ryonet. And it's like, it was crazy to realize how many parts of life screen printing touches, and then developing products that actually make better t-shirts, like that you would want to wear, not like just slabbing a bunch of thick ink on a Gildan 2000 shirt, helped me become more passionate about the t-shirt itself. And I'm so lucky that we have the industry that we're in, and I think it's an amazing thing to be a part of somebody's journey, from the print to getting behind the print and even the t-shirts now. So it's an awesome industry to be a part of.
It's awesome. Talk about the growing pains a little bit. So, going through that, starting to figure out the video and the pay-per-clicks, where are you even shipping all this stuff out of? I mean, that's a lot of goods to be shipping.
So,
right away.
The philosophy of like anything, and the way I look at always a new business model, because we start new business models all the time. We're forever changing as a company, whether it's a new product, which is a business model, a micro business model, whether it's new division, new line. So it's always like nothing happens until somebody sells something. So you have to be able to sell it first. So you always figure out the customer and the need they have, and then figure out a sale for them, figure out a solution. And once you figure that out, then you got to figure out how to run the business, So I think that the thresholds that people run into, and there's thresholds in, the history of a business, the life cycle of a business that you're always going to bump into. One is expanding outside yourself. Like when you're a startup, you do every single thing yourself.
Right.
And one is like, how do you expand yourself and add people? And then there's revenue thresholds. $1 million, $2 million, somewhere in there is typically a revenue threshold where your business is doing business with either the volume. You might just have one customer, but now you're doing it with one customer, much higher volume, or you have a much higher volume of customers. Is too much for your startup systems to support. So you have to do a first grade level upgrade of system upgrading, and that also includes people upgrading. Then there's typically the $10 million mark, where that will happen again at a higher level. A $20 million mark will happen again at another level, $50 to $100 million, where that will happen again. So there's these stages that you have to get past in business, and until you figure out how to do that, once you figure out how to do that, the stages are much easier to get past. And the secret is relinquishing control, developing systems, investing in education and betterment of yourself and your team. That's just the whole secret to expanding, much quicker than most people can expand. Most people don't want to give the control up. Most people don't want to develop themselves or other people. They don't want to invest in the time. They don't want to invest in the resources to be able to do that. And they get stuck in the niche or the mold that they're in and not able to expand out of it because they literally limit themselves.
So more specifically, are you talking about, self-educating yourself? Okay, how do I manage 10 people versus just the 2 that I started with, or 30 people or 50 people? Or is it like actual systems, like an accounting system we need to keep track, or inventory system, or is it both? Or
it's both, yeah. A lot of you'll see a lot of small shops or small-minded shops just not getting out of the mindset of I'm going to do this all myself. And doing this all yourself, you can grow a business to about $1 million, and that's doing great. And for some people, that model is, sometimes you look at them like super envious, like, oh man, I would love that, because you don't have any people to boss around and stuff, but you're not going to get past that stage until you figure out how to systematize and how to peopletize like that system. A system, first of all, you need to document your processes. Then you need to put those processes into a system. Then you need to train people on how to use that system. And then you got to make that system better. So that's a process, workflow in a circle. You got to first document what you do, then you got to put it in a system that runs it, and then you got to train people how to use that system, and then you got to make it better. And it's ever evolving. I think a lot of the times people don't want to make that step, and that step could be not wanting to add the person, not wanting to invest in the system, not training people how to use that system. A lot of times that step, and this is what our fault, is we invested in systems and we invested in people. We didn't freaking write any of it down. So our systems were developing, but no one knew how they were developing. The people that were developing the system didn't come back. So now we're working on documenting the process and tying that into the system, and then training it better, and then making it better. So it's more flowing versus randomly making it better, randomly making a system for something that people might be working on 2 different systems that actually solve the same problem.
Interesting. But earlier on, because this could be tougher for when someone's making one of those revenue leaps, are you guys say, okay, we're just going to invest in the people and let the revenue kind of catch up from there, and the systems and that investment there? Or is already the business kind of grown past where you need the people and you're just filling holes?
No, you have to invest ahead. There's no way to do it if you don't invest ahead. If you wait for it to come, it'll never get built. And you have to build it, and then it will come. So we made a mistake in 2009. We were looking at a new ERP system, and we were on QuickBooks. QuickBooks is a couple grand a year. So we're looking at investing in an ERP system, and we're looking at NetSuite or Sage. And NetSuite was so much more money out of the gate, and it was you had to pay a yearly fee. And we almost chose it, but we chose this other software. Oh God, it was a disaster for 4 years. And we ended up 2 years later doing another 2-year developing process and finally investing in NetSuite. NetSuite is a cloud-based ERP system that runs on our screenprinting.com, all of our inventory. It's the #1 cloud ERP system. We're well into it, $1 million, way over. We have 3 people developing it full-time. And that scared the crap out of me in 2009.
Yeah.
It was my mindset. I was we could have afforded it. We wasted hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars between 2009 and 2013, and we just delayed the inevitable. So investing in it 2013, 2012, we still couldn't afford it. We were more profitable in 2009 than we were 2012. But what happened is we just did it anyway. And since then, we've doubled in size and revenue and profitability because of it. So you have to do it first. If you have a mentality of I can't, there's 2 things they're certain. Work and money expand to the amount there is to amount of time. Work expands the amount of time available to do the work. Mm-hmm. Money expands the amount of money that's available. So, and you put your own mindset into each of those. So if you say, if you look at how you live or how you run your business, you can always live, you can always run your business on less, guaranteed. People do it all the time. The best, in fact, businesses that stress themselves purposely do better. That's why more ideas come out of bad economies. That's why the best inventions come out of depression times. That's why the most startup businesses come out of recessions. It's just physiological nature that it allows you to do that. So if you purposely invest and lower your money potential, but you're doing it smartly, you're going to figure it out, you know. And if you just play the safe game, you might never figure it out, and you have just as much risk of running out of business, you know.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's very interesting, talking about investing ahead. So it seems like, especially when you nailed your traction, you realize that this was a need, people are buying, it's growing. That's when, you know, you feel a lot more comfortable to start investing ahead and planning and putting the systems in place.
Yeah, you know, if you've proven a business model, like if you're still proving your business model, it's okay not to have systems, not to invest in people. You're still proving it. But once you've proven that works, like people will come back and they will order again from you, and you can get another one of those customers. Once you've proven that, and the earlier you can invest, the more you can invest in developing those systems, people, and processes, systems, and people in that order, the more expandable you'll become.
Got it. Awesome. Yeah, I think that's great advice, even on the small scale, especially if people are looking to continue to grow and create that bigger business over time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and even on a small scale, your vision might be not to grow a $10 million industry or have 5 automatic presses. They might be to have 2 people, but it's probably not just to work yourself to death for 80 hours a week. So if your vision is not to work yourself to death for 80 hours a week, you got to do those things. And if you do those things, you can run a very successful, profitable business and not have to have it rely on you.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So talk about, so today, where are you guys at revenue-wise today and employee count?
So we've grown, we call it our team. We have team members, not employees, because I never wanted to be an employee, so I would be on anyone's team any day of the week. So we have team members, and we have about 120 full-time team members. NetSuite has allowed us to change our distribution model. So in 2012, we had 3 warehouses that were very expensive to run, and we had about the same number of team members. But what we did is we invested vertically in manufacturing, bought Riley Hopkins. Now we have about 30 people manufacturing the entire Riley Hopkins equipment line here in Vancouver. And then we outsourced all of our warehousing capacity. We have 7 warehouses the only warehouse that we currently run still today is Washington. And we're actually moving that to Portland this summer. So we'll have 8 warehouses this summer. And they'll all be a Amazon model, 3PL, essentially. The inventory is live. They ship faster. They're much more accurate than we are. They're better at it, and our system allows it to happen. So our team members are mainly focused on customer focused, and then manufacturing, and then systems, finance, and HR and IT that run those things.
So you outsource so it seems like you want to vertically integrate with everything by buying Riley Hopkins, by manufacturing the ink and the screens and everything. But I noticed that you said the warehousing you did outsource. Was there a choice of why that versus the others you wanted to keep in-house?
Well, we were bumping our head against a wall. We knew that if we could get to customers faster, they would order more from us. And so we were bumping our head against a wall in not being able to expand fast enough because they were too expensive. This industry is seasonal. It has 2 seasons. It has spring and it has fall. And in the winter and in the summer, it dies for the most part. So, but if you're running a warehouse and it costs you $100,000 to run that warehouse, you've got to pay $100,000 a month to run that warehouse, even if it's dead in January or if it's slamming in March. So in March, we'd always fall behind, and in January, we'd always lose money, So now, because we split that diversity between 8, our cost to run it is variable. It goes up and down based around how much we actually ship.
Oh, interesting.
And the capacity spread out between 8 instead of 3, and so we don't get behind. We have much more bandwidth And that the people that do it, we're only a small percentage of their business. They're shipping for Amazon, they're shipping for Target, they're shipping for Nordstrom, and they can expand much quicker than we can.
Interesting. So it's like a warehouse as a service almost.
Yeah, and it's not like people don't pay for you to handle the product. You know, when you talk about value add, people don't pay you to handle product. People pay to get the product. People pay for the product to get there faster. People pay for a good product.
Sure.
But to handle the product, that's not adding any value to anyone, you know.
When did you decide that you wanted to start really expanding vertically? You wanted to start getting into the manufacturing instead of just selling and letting those guys who are good at building equipment and making ink and just reselling it. You wanted to, have your hand in that too. What was that decision about?
For us, it's a lot of it's about controlling the customer experience, which is one, like we want to control the customer experience as much as we can. So that means if you make it, if you physically have your hands on it, you can actually control it a lot better. And so with Rock, we don't make Rock equipment, but we control 100% of the customer experience because we have the exclusive distribution and warranty and service in the U.S. and Canada. So our service model is completely different here than the Rock service model worldwide, and which has allowed Rock to be successful here. Riley Hopkins, we can control it. The DIY kits that we make, we can control it. So from the customer's experience, they start with a DIY kit, they grow into an automatic press, we can control their equipment experience. And we're trying to do more of the same thing with the consumables. It's a lot harder road. We upgraded to Wilflex inks, which has been an awesome partnership, much great quality of ink, and allowed us to get into a lot more markets than we were able to do before. There are also things that you don't necessarily need to make. One of the first things that we made was squeegees, and the reason why we made squeegees is because we could do it for half the price. And we have all these kits to ship out. We'd be waiting for the squeegee manufacturer on the East Coast to ship us these expensive 6-foot blades.
Yeah.
How hard is it to make squeegees? Well, pretty easy. But now we've found out other people can actually do it faster and better than us. So we have them make it. So it's an always, once again, are you adding value or are you taking away value? And if somebody can add more value to you than what you doing it for your customers, you may as well outsource it and then focus on the things that you can do to add more value.
Gotcha. Very interesting. And what would you say are some big challenges that you guys have today from your revenue cliff that you're at now?
I think people are always one of the bigger challenges. Like, can your people expand themselves as fast as they want to expand? And then as you're growing your team, are you adding the right people to your team? Are they a cultural fit? Are they industry fit? So I think, we're trying to expand our team. You run up into a point where you're working with people that, a team member that might not want to expand. They're happy with where they're at. You're also running to the fact that they really want to expand really, really bad, but it's going to take them 2 years and you need to go there in 1 year. So you're going to patiently wait and develop them over the course of 2 years and just go a little slower. And you might run into the fact where you need to add somebody. So you got to find that person and then you got to educate them on what you do. So I think, people is a big limiting factor to any business as you grow. The other thing is just, continuing to service people better. The more you do, the better service you have, you need to have. And so, we always run into issues with how well we're servicing a customer. And it breaks my heart, like when, you see a review and we screwed somebody over, because everyone does. I mean, you're not going to be perfect 100% of the time. That's what I always tell upset customers. Like, I am so sorry. We are not perfect. We make mistakes. We're growing. We get better all the time. And I guarantee you that we'll do anything that we can to fix the problem. But having a problem in your business is inevitable. It's going to happen. So how do you minimize that? How do you fix it once it does happen? And have the people on your team that are like bought into both making it better and servicing the customer in a phenomenal way.
Yeah. Is there, so with people specifically, is there any things that you do to try to work with people to help them kind of envision your bigger goal and you constantly raising the bar, or like more management tips wise, or?
Yeah, I think it's mostly integrated into development of the team. So we've added a full-time culture director at Ryonet, Tyler, and his job is to literally just make sure that our team, we find the right people, we grow those people, and we develop our team, And so he runs a team too, and we're expanding on that. We're developing, more on training, more on education, trying to find better. We do like this core value index when somebody hires or when somebody's here that allows us to understand how their core values and if they're aligned with ours and if they're aligned with their current position, and help them track to a position that aligns with them. And sometimes it's making the hard calls on, like, you have to part ways with somebody that's not just headed in the same direction. So constantly communicating, constantly training and educating, and always trying to be better. We're still really struggling at that, and we can always do better. So that's kind of our focus. Our number one focus this year is effectiveness as an organization. And so a lot of our, we have 2 people that actually, WillFlex has paid for us to go to their Lean Six Sigma training in Cleveland. So if you're in Cleveland, you can hang out with Chris and Tammy. They're there for like a month. And, we have awesome partners that have invested in that theology and allow us to participate in it. So that is, that's one thing that we're doing. And then we're, constantly training our team on better customer communication. We're constantly trying to communicate better with our team so that people have better understanding of where we're going. Got
it. With the business where it is now, what do you think the next couple of years holds for you guys? What are some challenges you're facing now? And where do you see Ryonet as a company going?
We're firing, so new business models are like firing bullets. Mm-hmm. And so we are firing bullets right now, meaning like we're trying small niche like systems and business products to expand. So our products are changing to like making it easier for people to do business with us. Like the products that we're developing now, a lot of them are consumable based, so they're actually using the products, not just not just a piece of equipment that might create something. So we're doing a lot of development product wise on like more eco-friendly too. Like our whole focus is trying to make the industry more eco-friendly. So like on the screen printing products, like better recirculation systems, better filtration systems, better distribution systems for ink and chemical, and then helping people to make their ordering process a lot easier. Automatic ordering, all that kind of stuff, vendor management. And then a new business model that we're just starting up is the garment itself. So we're like stepping behind the print and getting involved in making like right now the t-shirt garment market is completely commoditized, and you think of how cheap you can get a t-shirt for. It's like half the price of the coffee that you buy.
Yeah.
And coffee got drinking like in 15 minutes, and this t-shirt's going to be worn for 10 years. So we're trying to make the t-shirt more environmentally friendly out of sustainable fabrics, and then we're making it in a place where it gives the most to the hands that touch it and not the least. So that project's called All Made. We just kicked that off with the Indiegogo campaign. You can learn more about that on Indiegogo, or if you go to allmade.com. And we see it like changing our business, both like being in front of the print and then being behind the print on a t-shirt eventually. In the next couple of years, we just want to continue to get better, develop better systems, better processes to enable us to expand and service the industry better.
Yeah, that's interesting. Kind of goes along what we're talking about getting into the machine side, the ink side, the clothing side, being able to control that whole experience for the customers.
Yeah.
What would you say, so wrapping up, a couple things. One, what is maybe a tip, whether they're in the screen printing business or they're growing a wholesale type business, a tip for a business owner to be able to take, something that you've learned?
So there's this law called Parkinson's law, and it's work expands the amount of time there is to complete it. And if you realize, like, no matter how much work you have to do, if you got a hard deadline, you're gonna figure out how to get it done. And you sometimes miss the deadline by like that much, but it's always like almost by that much. And so setting up your business to realize that and not wasting time doing work that's not being effective. I think there's a very similar rule to money. And so taking that extra time and taking that extra money and investing it in yourself, your team, and your business, because the money, your business will figure out how to work on the money that there is left, and your business will figure out how to work on the time that is left. And you can always go get more money, but you only have so much more time, but you're going to figure out how to work smarter to get it done anyway. It's natural. So learning that, like really saying like, could I take a day off of my business and invest in going to this course or going to this seminar or mentoring with this shop? Could I take $1,000 a month and invest it in my 401k instead of just spending on I don't know what? Or could I invest it in a better software system? So investing in both those areas is just do it. I mean, you have to. The only way you're going to expand and grow is if you do, a time and a financial investment in your development.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah, I definitely think that could be helpful for people. Are there any books that you're reading or people you're following that's interesting lately?
I'm always a big fan of Simon Sinek. Start with Why, Leaders Eat Last. He just wrote a little tiny book called Together is Better. A lot of books lately on the apparel industry, like how nasty it is. There's a book that Patagonia wrote called Let My People Go Surfing. Mm-hmm. And it's a pretty awesome book. And they've been doing like sustainable apparel manufacturing for like 20 years, way ahead of everyone else. The fact is that no one's been able to commoditize it. So if you want to learn more about an awesome business story and how they develop their business and how they develop their stance of environmentally friendly and conscious, they actually have a B corporation now, which is a for-purpose corporation. That's an awesome book to read, and it teaches you so much about the textile industry. And just went to a Tony Robbins event, which was pretty amazing. Any of his books are pretty cool as far as personal development, and he talks about like just limiting yourself, limiting your own mentality, and it's so true. I didn't read my first Tony Robbins book until after I read it in 2009, and my life and my business has completely changed after I realized that. And I got to see him like a week or two ago, and it just reinforces it. And so if you get a chance to read anything that he's done, it's pretty amazing.
Very cool. Do you have any recommendations from him?
I think there's a book called The Power Within. The book that I liked was Get the Edge, but it's really old. Literally any of his books will be great. But some focus more on financial. Like his latest book is all financial investing. Probably not great for like building a business or personal development. So definitely, but any of it's pretty good.
All right, very cool. Well, appreciate the time, Ryan. Definitely valuable. I think it'll absolutely help a few people out there at least. So again, thank you. And I'm sure we'll be chatting soon again.
Yep. See ya.
Bye.
Thank you guys.